A short break to bring you your main newscast, and of course, after which we will resume with the rebroadcast of the Glenn Lal Show. In your headlines for today, Tuesday, March 29th, 2022, without proper systems, explosive development of oil resources not in Guyana's best interest. Trinidad and Tobago expert says someone needs to defend country before it is too late. OGGN seeks Bajan PM's intervention in waking up CARICOM to Guyana's oil and gas inadequacies. Man gets 23 years for killing Regent Multiplex owner. 5 companies vying to rent tents, tables, and chairs to Parliament. Inmate succumbs following brawl at Lusignan prison, and GRA grilled on bidding process for disposal of seized vehicles. Stay tuned to get the full details of these stories and more.
Enjoy free premium access to D-Music from March 25th to 31st. Discover 60 million local and international songs. Get playlists specially made to match your flavor. You can even download your favorite songs and albums. Plus, enjoy Coffee and Shensia's new albums fresh out the studio with free 2 gigabytes of data for D-Music every day. From March 25th to 31st, listen anywhere, anytime. So, what are you waiting for? Download D-Music now.
With your news at noon, I'm Kevin Smith. With the blessings of the government, ExxonMobil is hell-bent on monetizing its 10 billion barrels of oil-equivalent resources to the benefit of its shareholders via a suite of development projects. In fact, the company hopes to have as many as 5 FPSO vessels operating offshore Guyana by 2026. But in the eyes of Trinidad and Tobago's energy strategist, Anthony Paul, this is not in Guyana's best interest. Paul showed how an oil-producing country was able to save significantly by having the right depletion guidelines in place, while another lost out substantially in the absence of rules. He was also keen to know that Trinidad holds some key lessons that Guyana should not ignore. He said that as a result of not having a proper policy in place for the development of natural gas, Trinidad and Tobago possibly left billions of US dollars in gas resources behind in the ground which it cannot go back and remove. This is due to the fact that the CARICOM state allowed companies to dictate the pace of development. The industry specialist concluded that someone needs to defend Guyana's case before it is too late. In other news, the Guyanese-led Oil and Gas Governance Network has written to influential Barbadian leader Prime Minister Mia Mottley, seeking her intervention in heightening Caribbean leaders' concern over oil and gas operations in Guyana. The US-based group is adamant that given the limited capacity of regulatory bodies to exercise oversight in the local oil and gas sector, CARICOM should be paying much more interest given the environmental threat that ExxonMobil's oil operations pose to the entire bloc. OGGN said Guyana's massive offshore oil reserves have introduced new and existing issues relating to fossil fuel exploration and their relationship to climate heating. The body noted that in the lead-up to the Paris Agreement of 2016, Guyana and CARICOM had argued for a sustainable path and called to end industrial activities that would push temperature increase beyond 1.5 degrees Celsius. And moving on, 41-year-old Kurt Erskine was on Monday sentenced to 23 years in prison for killing the proprietor of the Regent Multiplex Mall, Ganesh Ramlal, called Aboyo. Erskine had denied the charge, which stated that on July 5, 2015, he murdered Ramlal during the course or furtherance of a robbery. And on March 10, 2022, after a 2-hour deliberation, a 12-member jury returned with a verdict that Erskine was guilty of manslaughter. Erskine was tried before Justice Simone Morris Ramlal at the Demerara High Court. Before sentencing, a probation report on Erskine's behalf was presented to the court in which he stated that he was sorry for his senseless act. An impact statement from the victim's wife was read to the court by the woman. In other news, the Office of the National Procurement and Tender Administration Board on Thursday received 5 bids from companies interested in renting tents, tables, and chairs for upcoming sittings of the National Assembly, venued at the Arthur Chung Conference Center. The procuring entity for this project is the Parliament of Guyana. The companies vying for the contract are Star Party Rental, QA Civil Works, Alabama Trading, Perrin Brothers Disposal Inc., and a new party store. Sessions of the National Assembly were moved to the Conference Center following the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic. Since the conference center is not outfitted with space for media operatives to dine, a decision was taken to have the facilities rented to better accommodate them. And now let's tell you, a GRA team who were brought before the Parliamentary Public Accounts Committee on Monday faced a series of questions on the bidding procedure used to dispose of seized or want of entry vehicles. PSC member and Public Works Minister Juan Edgel pointed to an instance where a seized vehicle was not sold to the highest bidder. His question was premised on the fact that the AG's report pointed to a loss of revenue amounting to $14.4 million. In response, Jason Moore, head of law enforcement at GRA, told the committee that in some cases, the highest bidders could not be contacted. Meanwhile, Commissioner General of GRA, Godfrey Stacia, noted instances where the GRA vehicles eventually go to the taxpayer that it was seized from because the ultimate goal of the authority is to prevent loss of revenue. Get the full details in today's Kaieteur News. The time has now moved on to 12 hours 10. We will resume more news after the break.
This is GHK Lal inviting you to join me weekdays from Monday to Friday on the National Outlook for commentary on a range of issues. Immediately after the 12 noon and 7 p.m. newscasts on Kaieteur Radio at 99.1 FM and 99.5 FM. Looking forward to you sharing in the conversation.
Welcome back. Let us continue with the news. Police in Region 4C are now investigating the death of Mahash Rajpal, a prisoner who died on Monday afternoon following an altercation with another inmate at the Lusignan prison. Rajpal, according to reports, was remanded to the Lusignan prison for a murder back in 2017. According to police reports, at 14 hours 50 on Monday, Rajpal died after suffering a stab wound to his chest following a brief altercation with a remanded inmate, Rajkumar Singh, in Holding Bay 1 at the Georgetown Prison B location. It was reported to the police that Singh had an argument with Rajpal, who accused him of walking in his bed space. This escalated things, and a fight ensued between the two, and the man was reportedly stabbed. And now let's tell you the gun used by a village bully on March 16th last to attack a 20-year-old Mawanza Clark, a resident of Defield Sophia, was a toy, police have revealed. Clark was attacked while riding home from work by a suspect identified as Omari. CCTV footage shows Clark fighting off his attacker, who had pointed what appeared to be a silver gun to his head. Clark had managed to relieve the suspect of the weapon and beat him before running to the Turkine police station, where he made a report and lodged the weapon. As the investigation continues, Clark and his elder brother, Anthony Clark, are still worried about their safety. Omari, the suspect, had threatened to kill them following an argument, which he had with Anthony some 2 weeks prior to his attack on Clark's. Other Sophia residents have since come forward, making claims that the suspect in question is a menace to their community and would sometimes participate in criminal activities. And now let's tell you, 38 mothers are now equipped with skills in cosmetology to gain employment or become entrepreneurs in the field. According to a Ministry of Education release, this was made possible through the reintegration of adolescent mothers into the education system program, executed by the ministry. The program was coordinated by the Health and Family Life Education Unit of the Ministry and the Carnegie School of Home Economics in Georgetown, and Kevin's Reflection in Region 10. The program benefited young mothers from Regions 3, 4, and 10. The young women were congratulated on completing the program successfully and were encouraged to position themselves to take advantage of future opportunities. In other news, at the launch of the Black Belly Sheep project on Monday in the MMA compound at Onverwacht, West Coast Berbice, President Ali announced that an initial investment of $3 million will see Barbados supplying the country with 1,000 black belly sheep within the next 2 weeks. President Ali made the announcement shortly after predicting that Region 5 can and will be the livestock capital of CARICOM. Meanwhile, Deputy Commissioner of Police Clifton Hicken has commenced duties as Guyana's acting top cop following his appointment by President Ali on Monday. Hicken assumes the office as former Commissioner of Police Nigel Hoppy on Sunday last proceeded on pre-retirement leave. The move to appoint Hicken is, however, not sitting well with the PNCR, the largest political party in the APNU-AFC coalition, which has demanded that the government rescind the appointment. The party has accused the government of politicizing the Guyana Police Force and not following legal requirements pertaining to appointments. And now for your COVID-19 update, followed by the page 7 of the Kaieteur News. The Ministry of Health reported on Monday that one new COVID-19 infection was recorded within the last 24-hour period. The new case, which was detected in Region 3, has brought the total number of confirmed cases in the country to 63,235. The ministry in its latest dashboard reported that 2 patients are in the COVID-19 ICU, 6 persons are in institutional isolation, 8 are quarantined institutionally, and 74 are in home isolation. After telling the nation it's up to you as it relates to adherence to COVID-19 measures, the health minister is now concerned that both testing and vaccination rates have declined. In fact, the minister is worried that Guyana could be faced with a problematic situation if citizens continue to refuse to be vaccinated for their own safety. Mr. Minister, you and your government were elected to properly manage the affairs of this country towards the betterment of all Guyanese. As such, please refrain from guesswork and employ the services of visionaries who can properly guide the way forward. And with that, we've come to the end of today's News at Noon. I'm Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your dollar grow. Call us on 225-8465 or 226-8210 today.
With the time now moving on to 12 hours 17, we now resume with the rebroadcast of the Glenn Hall Show.
Let me repeat, man. Is we transport them tech and pledge for do what they're doing out there. Couldn't we have done the same? Huh? Gosh, man. The damages and destruction caused by these multinationals to our infrastructure and human life, our economy. Guys, the money we are receiving is putting us into further debts, leaving our people to continue to thief and beg to put food on the children's table. You guys care to speak on that, Mr. Ramjatan, Mr. Harman, or Mr. Jagdev? And not forgetting Ashni Singh and Jordan. I saw a beggar this morning using an umbrella on the road. Oh my gosh, no. Not in the rain. I couldn't stop. Had I stopped, I would take out the 50,000 and say, boy, go home and don't beg back for the rest of the year. You're laughing, it's funny. Alright, so let me get serious now. Here are some of the questions for all of you, to all the leaders, and to all Guyana. If you can grab a pen quickly and jot them down, because I'll be asking them the same question. Why, this is the first one, why don't we have a ring fencing provision in the Exxon contract, not only to protect us, but to save us billions of US dollars? That's the first question. Why do we have to give Exxon and its partners 1 month notice before we can go to check, to audit their books, when we have a 50-50 partnership? That's two. Why are we paying ExxonMobil's taxes for them? Their contractors and subcontractors. Next, why do we allow oil players to dump produced water into our ocean when they were supposed to re-inject it back? Why are we allowing flaring during full production when they were supposed to re-inject it back too? Why is it that Guyana does not have a local content policy in place? 6 years now since we find oil. Why is it that we have one of the worst oil contracts on earth in the last 100 years that gives Guyana 2% royalty, and yet transportation costs have to come out from that? Why is ballast water being dumped into our oceans by the oil ships? Why does Guyana not have full cover insurance to protect the citizens of this country, the country as a whole, and other neighboring countries when an oil spill or disaster happen out there? Why do we not have any say or control on these billions of dollars, American dollars, spending on this field development plan when we have a 50-50 partnership? Why does Guyana have to say have no say on the costs of the rentals of supply vessels out there? Why do we not have control or say on the daily costs or expenses on the oil operations? Why don't we have anyone checking the barrels of oil that is coming up on a daily basis? And why are we depending on the figures ExxonMobil and its partners produce to us? Why? Is this how two countries, two companies, or two people do 50-50 business? Why is the nation not given full information about what is going on with the people's wealth, our gold, our diamond, our bauxite, etc.? As for the decommissioning, the cleanup, why is it that funds are being taken out and the nation does not know how much is being taken out, where it's being kept, and who is benefiting from that funds? Why does Guyana not have the capability to handle the toxic waste product that is being discharged from Liza 1? No one knows who, where, or what they're doing with it. I think they're burning it at Schlumberger at Houston. I don't know, I'm not certain. But you need to answer these questions. Why is it that in case of a well blowout, oil companies have nothing in place to safeguard or protect this country? Our EPA said our Civil Defense Commission, I had to laugh, is dealing with that. How do they plan on dealing with that? With what? Blow up balloons or ballyhoo? Why does Guyana not know the interest rate they're paying on the 20 million loans sitting out there with 1, 2, and 3 per year. By law, no oil company should get more than 60 oil blocks. That's our laws. Why ExxonMobil was given 600? Mr. Leaders, why? Every 5 years, a matter of fact, if you guys don't show up, I'll be talking about that. That will be my topic Friday. 60 oil block. The law says one can have. And these leaders, these beautiful leaders, handsome leaders, give the people 600. Every 5 years, all oil companies have to relinquish 20% of their block or blocks. Why did our leaders extend the time for them? Why is it that our leaders, including our Vice President Kaieteur, are not asking, much as demanding, a renegotiation of this one-sided, lopsided Exxon contract when it is clear in the PSA that both parties have to agree? Why? Who is selling out? Who's selling our oil? At what price? And what is the arrangement? Is it the citizens who have to go to the court to fight for a renegotiation? When the PSA has the provision for renegotiation? Tell us, Mr. Kaieteur. These are nice questions, and I'm giving you them up front. Let me give you more. Let me ask this question. Is it that you guys are receiving some personal benefits from the oil companies that is preventing all of you from seeking to renegotiate this oil contract? Imagine, Guyana, a citizen, Melinda Janki, had to go to court to get the 20-year EPA permit issued to ExxonMobil reversed to what the law requires. Why, Mr. Kaieteur? Why, Mr. Harman, Mr. Trackman, Mr. Ramjatan? Why did that woman have to spend her money, her expertise, her time to correct what you guys did when you broke the laws of this country to facilitate ExxonMobil? Is it the citizens who have to go to court to correct the 600 oil blocks given to Exxon when they only entitled to 60 leaders? Good going. Those are only 27 questions for now. Guyanese brothers and sisters, is only 27 questions I asked them there. See you guys on Friday program at 7:20. You don't have to come in, call the phone lines. 226-7454, 226-7455. You can call my number. Most of you have my number. Call me on the cell phone. Call me WhatsApp though, so that will be free. Brothers and sisters of this country, my fellow citizens, I give them 27 questions there. I don't want them to answer all 27. It's too much to talk about in one program or on one night. Let them pick any 5 or 3. I am waiting on them Friday to give me the answers. I am calling the Globe Span, and I'll be sending these messages just in case they don't come or call him. So when you guys ready to go back to Globe Span, they will ask you the questions there, and we will get to hear your answers, and we'll take it one step at a time. Thank you so much, Bishop, and thanks to all of you who pray for me. I am calling on all the churches, the mandirs, the mosques, all religious organizations to speak up, speak out, stand up for your followers and for this nation. Guyana, we are in trouble, but we are not far gone. We can do it. We can change it if we do it together. Yes, we can. We can turn it around with your support. Glenlal alone can't do it. I need your support. I need your help. If not, generations will suffer. You guys have seen what many nations who got 10, 12, 15, 20% in royalties, many of their citizens, 50, 60, 70% of their citizens are living today as I speak with less than 300 Guyana dollar a day. Don't make that happen to us. Let us stand together, fight together, and demand our 50% royalty. Good night. God bless you guys.
Kaieteur Radio.
Covering Guyana from coast to coast.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Berbice 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio.
It's Tuesday, March 29th. We're getting close to closing things out. Welcome to the National Outlook on Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and 99.5 FM. I'm GHK Lal. I should tell you, my fellow Guyanese, I've had a rough start to the week because I've been struggling with a heavy sore throat and a cough. Nothing outside there, it's just a regular flu. So if you hear me pausing, you should know that I am having a fit, so excuse me please. Fisher folk battered by discouraging environment. Cites loss of traditional fishing grounds, low worker turnout. That was Kaieteur News on March 24th, last Thursday. And you look at the wharf, there were pictures of the wharf in the paper. And I used to go there. It is dilapidated, it's dangerous, it's troublesome. And a lot of people go there and they're crowded, and there's a lot of the traffic on that wharf there. It's just one place, but the catch is poor, the state of the wharf is poor, and men are leaving this business. The people who help them to scale and cut and fillet, the dozens and scores of people, they can't wait around because they don't have enough to do. They don't know when they're going to get some business, some trickle-down business to make a day pay. So it's the fisher folk struggling, their families struggling, the people who are around the wharf struggling, and we, the consumer, who struggle with rising prices and less catch, less availability, less quality of what is available. So this is really a set of problems coming together. And unless we get to the bottom of this, what is responsible for this? Is it oil? Is it Exxon chasing our people away like they claim? Or is it that our guys, are fed up and they're tired and they're bored and they want to move on to something bigger and richer? I think we have to give ourselves some room to examine what's going on here and to see that we get this thing right, because we can't afford for our fishing industry to collapse. As big a segment as this that serves the East Bank, Georgetown, and I think a lot of the East Coast. Think about that, weigh that carefully, and let's ask ourselves if more can't be done. I personally think that more can be done to help to ease the plight of the fishermen, to ease the plight of the consumers. And that's where I am. I'm GHK Lal on Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and 99.5 FM. Thank you for listening to the National Outlook.
Hello, Guyanese. After the newscast at 12 noon every day, I am dedicating some clips with extremely important information pertaining to Guyana's future. Please, I beg you, take some time and listen to them. It is for your interest and future generations. This is a message from Glenn Lal saying thanks for listening to the Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and 99.5 FM. Guyana, I have a question for you. Who goes into a business with a partner in which he gives you a limited time to verify the bills he's spending? Well, that is what ExxonMobil and the oil people doing to us. Yes, it is Raphael Trapman who signed that agreement in which Guyana has only 2 years to check and verify all expenses Exxon threw at us. When all over the world, oil countries demands no less than 5 years to do their checking, Guyana settled for 2. Guyana has gotten over 10 billion US dollar in bills so far from Liza 1 and Liza 2. And the 2 years already expire on us to check that. So we have to accept and pay that like an idiot, like a fool. Yes. Yes. Now, brothers and sisters, we have the third project Payara, in which another 10 billion US dollar in bills have been thrown at us to check. And the time is already running out too on this one to check. And what are we hearing from Jagdeo, the Vice President? Yes, them now trying to put together a team to check it, to verify these bills. Man, something is wrong. Something is wrong in this country. 6 years now we discover oil, and these financial gurus can't put together an audit team on to now. What a Guyana this is. What a way to run country, guys. You doing business with a partner, and he gives you 1 week to check the bills, and if you don't check it within that time, you have to accept whatever he throws at you. What is going on here in this country, guys? So if he buys a bundle bora, let's say for $10,000, a tin of baby milk for $6,000, a gallon of rice for $5,000, a hammer for $25,000, or a spade for 20 grand, and you don't check it on time, you have to pay that. You hear me? You have to pay it. This is what our leaders telling this nation, guys, telling me and you. Guys, you gotta wake up. We need to wake up. We need to say something. We need to do something now and quickly before it's too late. Stop running around for 25,000 COVID money, hamper money, in which you can get $2.5 million every month by just speaking out against this highway robbery that is being committed by ExxonMobil and our backward leaders, slothful leaders we have, both of them. So if Guyana don't find a team in time, brothers and sisters, to check this other $10 billion from Payara, cat yam all a wee dinner with those bills. Guys, not even a preppy student would sign terms and conditions like that in a contract. Agreeing to just 2 years for check billions upon billions of American dollars, man. Hear how much more sickening this robbing contract gets. All those expenses, those costs, let's say tallied up to $100 million a day, the oil company is allowed to take out 75% of that every day before profit is shared. So out of the $100 million, they take out $75 million, then profits is shared. So each party gets $12.5 million each. Guyana get 12.5, while they walk away with $87.5 million a day. Guys, if you're worried about what you just heard, just listen to this. Out of we $12.5 million we get, Raphael Trotman agreed in the contract that Guyana will pay Exxon taxes out of that. Yes, take out 25% taxes of that figure, Guyana leaves with barely $9 million. So ExxonMobil walks away with $91 million out of the 100, and Guyana is left to settle with $9 million. That's business. Brothers and sisters, that is business. That's what is going on every day in this land by our leaders. And every single one of them is silent. How much more can we take, man? How much? When are we gonna say something? This is Glenn Lal speaking. Please join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday to talk about these types of business this country going on with. Namaste to all of you. A great man named Mohandas Karamchand Mahatma Gandhi said, "The world has enough for everyone's needs, but not everyone's greed." Brothers and sisters, wherever you are, in or out of Guyana, may the peace and blessings of our Creator be upon you all. I, Glenn Lal, has put together this special program just for you to discuss a few important matters that we must demand to see change on as we embark on this new year 2021. I want to talk about my interaction with the Vice President, Mr. Jagdeo, last Wednesday evening. After listening to him, I conclude Guyana is like an abused wife, shackled by those contracts signed by all of them. And the leaders who are supposed to be protecting us from that violent husband is in silence or in hiding. I hope and pray that as we are about to enter this new year 2021, Guyana, that our leaders change their ways in which they think so they can work in the best interests of the peoples of this country rather than the foreign players of this land and in our waters. Guyana, we are in trouble, deep, deep trouble. The biggest disaster this country has ever seen and is known for is Jonestown. All you guys remember that. In which 913 people was massacred by one man named Jim Jones. The world remembers Guyana for this. All over I travel, when they don't know Guyana, you just tell them you're from Jim Jones. and they know you. What our leaders is doing to us with our resources is 1 trillion times worse than what Jim Jones did in this country. I know all of you had a great time during the Christmas holidays, despite this COVID thing. I saw some of you over the holidays, how you are proper enjoy yourself. And I'm happy for you guys. My family and I enjoy it too. We had a good time. I know, yes, I know it could have been much, much better. Much better for all of us if our leaders had made the right decisions or got better deals with our resources. Had we gotten a fair share, man, our leaders would have been throwing US dollars like raindrops at our doorsteps. But unfortunately, that didn't happen, and we all left to suck salt, if you know what I mean. Brothers and sisters, like I said, this is a special program I put together just for you. It has to do with our bank accounts and our pockets, plus our future. Wednesday gone, I was invited to join our Vice President on a special program called Oil and Gas, hosted by one of my best journalists, Kiana Wilberg. It so happened we ended up all over the place, away from the main topic. She's upset, and I am told that many persons did not like how that program went. For me, Guyana, I thought it was healthy, fruitful, interesting, and most importantly, sad and frightening. What came out from Mr. Jagdale's mouth, for me, spells doom for Guyana and our future. Some of the things he said and the way in which he delivered it made me sat there and wonder where Guyana is heading. I did not get a chance to respond properly to the many things he spoke about. So I have decided to respond in kind to a few of the topics we touched on. These couple things I am about to explain to you. Nothing, I mean nothing, is in place to safeguard and protect us from losing money, US dollars in the billions. 5 years have gone since we discovered oil. And yet, Guyana, simple provisions, rules, clauses, plans has not been put in place to avoid we getting raped and robbed by the billions of US dollars. Our Vice President talked about the Guyana banking system has no money. He talked about ring fencing, depletion policy, a local content policy. Just to let you know, guys, them 4 things may sound like fancy language to many. But let me say this, those 4 things alone can make Guyana into a Dubai without any royalty or any profits. Or, let me tell you this, it can turn Guyana worse than all them African countries that had and still have oil. We will become slaves all over again if we don't fix and correct ourselves now. I mean now, Guyana. Not next week, not next month, now. Before I begin to talk about all 4 of those things one by one, let me share something with you that I have learned in the newspaper business and never forget. A friend once said to me, Glenn, you have just joined the media, and I want to tell you this. Always remember the 3 S. Be short, be sweet, and be simple. He says, Glenn, every presenter of the news wants, whether it be in the written form or in the electronic form, the man says, Glenn, you want as many people as possible to listen to you, to read you, and most importantly, to understand what you say. Everybody wants that. The man said, if you tell it to the professors, the laborers will not understand. But if you tell it to the laborers, all will understand. And I always remember Justice for All program with Mr. Sharma. When he interviewed a professional, he asked the man, what work you do? But if a journalist interviewed a professional, he would ask, what profession are you doing, sir? Now, the ordinary man doesn't understand profession, but you understand when Mr. Sharma said, what work you do? So, the man said, Glenn, whatever you do, wherever you go with this media, always remember the 3 S's. Be short, be sweet, and be simple. I have used that technique. Since then, I have shared that story with all my journalists and every writer that writes for this newspaper. Every single one of them, I tell that. So what I've tried to do here is to use that same technique. I'll try my best to be simple as possible in responding to those 4 things our Vice President talked about. Starting with the banking system, don't have money. Glenn didn't say that. Our Vice President, Mr. Jagdeo, said that. When he began to speak on those topics Wednesday night, and what he said, I was shaking my head in disbelief. I wasn't giving a chance and enough time to respond. So here is my response on the banking system doesn't have cash. What do Guyana have to have money in the banking system? Why do we have to have money in the banking system? Money for what? When these people came here for our oil, we were told, and of course I believe, that them have the money to invest and bring up our oil and share with us. So why we have to have the cash? We're broke and still broke, dead broke, and we will be broke for many decades to come.